Man, are you guys blown away like I am from watching the premiere of the season 3, episode 1 of From? Now, I hate to say I told you so, but I told you so. Wow. I mean, amazing episode, well put together from beginning to end. Couple of surprises, couple of I told you so's, a couple of new areas to investigate, a couple of more mysteries, and a couple more questions on why would you do something so stupid, right? I mean, it's always a mix of emotions watching From, but we love the roller coaster ride. So I hope you guys enjoyed everything. So listen, I'm gonna wait a little while to get into the chat, and then we are going to start this thing straight up. Are you guys ready for the From trivia on tonight's episode? Let's get into the chat. Let's get some likes. I hope you guys brought your thinking caps. I worked on this to try to make it a little bit complicated, maybe catch a few people. So before I get into the From trivia, I mean, they just had the live tweet on the From on MGM page, and it was pretty marvelous. A lot of people were present. A lot of people were live tweeting,
That's what she said.
engaging in the live stream or live tweeting while they watched the premiere. So I guess the show was available on streaming all day, but a lot of people watched it, at 9 p.m. when the cast was going to watch it. So I saw Harold Pernaut on there live tweeting. I saw the creator John Griffin on there tweeting. I saw a lot of people
You said this
on
place
there
couldn't breathe.
live tweeting during today. So if you go to if you don't know how to live tweet, it's pretty much a hashtag. So if you go to Frumly and just kind of scroll down, you'll see a lot of people in their tweets. And so somebody pointed it out. Is this a sign that maybe Tabitha isn't in the real world? Most buildings don't have the 13th floor. And so, me, I'm a big fan of the number 12. So I put in my response, she was on the 12th. Remember, Jim said the answer was 12, right? So a lot of people, all you got to do is like. I don't understand why it's so hard for people to like, right? Especially if you make a good point. So I went ahead and liked my own post. But let's see. Elizabeth Saunders was tweeting tonight from on MGM. Thanks for watching from Lee. Sometimes when you're shooting, you have to keep secrets from your loved ones. My daughter, after seeing episode 1, oh wow, our daughter looks just like her. That's amazing. She looks like her in Dale. So I don't know if you noticed, but Elizabeth Saunders in real life is married to Dale Saunders, who plays a character on From as well. So that's crazy. Let's see who else. Harold Pernaut. So same time next week, Frumly. So yeah, that's right. So Harold was doing a lot of tweeting tonight. If you go to his page was definitely lit tonight. And he definitely went through a real journey. I mean, he was the one who sat there and had to watch all that madness. And I think that he's really excited about where the show is going. And he also has some good points. So I try to follow what they say, even though I know they don't give clues away. I do follow John Griffin, and try to see what John Griffin says. So Harold even said, "Really, why not? Really not sure why Kenny goes along with Jim's shit ideas." Exactly. I tweeted that I wouldn't trust Jim to go anywhere. So if you go into my page, let's see. So I'm the movie guru on Twitter, at movie_guru. And so tonight is the night we're doing the From trivia. So I'm just doing a quick recap of the live tweeting event. And here's a couple things we learned from the creatures. Trap. They can open doors. They are up for the challenge. And the milkman hates cows. I mean, that was it. Here's a big clue that I think is going to lead into something much, much more on tonight's episode. All right. When Jim and Kenny were in the Lost Village and they locked themselves in there and put a talisman up, we heard something walking around the cabin, right? And It alerted Kenny to the point where he pulled his gun out. It alerted Jim, and then Kenny says it was gone. Right now, but what was it? Right, and so are we not going to talk about what was outside the cabin? I mean, there. I think that's a big point. Like we got to talk about what's outside the cabin because we know that the creatures were all in the village, right? If you count the creatures, right, we saw four walking down the street, and we saw the other four in the barn, right? So that's eight. So plus or minus two, right? So 10. But they usually don't really go anywhere alone. We know Smiley's dead, so there's really only maybe 11. And so what was walking around the cabin? So that's my biggest mystery from tonight's episode. Um, so and I even got some retweets on that. Are we not going to talk about what's outside the cabin? Let's see. So yeah. So look, hey, let's get those lights going. I want to know what you guys think about tonight's episode. I wanted to know if you guys liked it, if you guys were shocked. I mean, who was right? I know there's a lot of streamers out there. Is there any streamer that you think had a great theory about tonight's episode? Anybody that you probably thought didn't or was close? Okay, so what I'm gonna do to start this off tonight is I'm gonna go to my YouTube page and I'm going to um, watch the episode with that I just posted on my YouTube page, which was the second part of my interview with Elizabeth Moy. So Elizabeth Moy plays Tien Chen. So this is exclusive, y'all. So we're gonna have an exclusive breakdown because I don't think anybody talked to her yet. The question I want to ask is, what did you think when you read or heard about what was going on with Tien in episode 1?
You said this place couldn't break you. That's what you said. Let's see. You're so strong. You're so strong. Just no. I know.
So many things. Yeah, I've got the call in advance of shooting, right? So I think I had about 6 weeks notice.
Oh, okay.
SAG was still on strike, so we weren't filming. The writers' strike is already done by that time. So the three J's, Jack, John, the writer, Jack Bender, Jeff Pinkner, got me on the phone and told me the news. It was a hard news to receive, but they did it such a way that I felt their love, I felt their compassion, I felt their encouragement, and they only doing this because they think it's impactful, right? They wouldn't do this.
This is turning into one of the biggest the biggest moments in TV. I mean, people are gonna be talking about this for a long time, you know? Like just the way your character has been built up, right? And then we've all gravitated to her, then being taken away from us, right? I mean, like it is gonna be a top, 10 TV moment of all times, right? Remember the loss of Tien Chen? I mean, especially because we look at Kenny, right? He's lost his dad and then now his mom. And so now it's just like, whoa, that's a tough loss.
Mm-hmm. So it's and then in order to play those scenes, it's almost like I have to go through all those scenarios, what you talked about, because Tien Chen is so real to me now, right? Tien Chen is a real person. Yeah. And Kenny is her real son, and Jade is her real second son, and Sarah, all those relationships, all the people in town, people that go through her diners, she makes a point of talking to them and getting to know them, right? Even though she doesn't speak the language, but she knows a lot about what's going on, right? And so it's almost like it wasn't that difficult to play that because those are real.
Mm-hmm.
And the death, it's so real.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it's when after I took the news, once I accepted it, I welcomed it as a challenge.
Yeah, yeah.
Because, part of my thought process was, like I was thinking of which actor would play the death scene,
Mm-hmm.
and which actor's scenes, dying scene is believable. It's
Yeah.
heartbreaking, all that stuff, right? So I've gone through that, and I just thought, you know what? I welcome this. This is going to be my challenge because this is my final scene. I have to die with 100%.
Yeah, yeah, I understand. Yeah, it's like,
Mhm.
die with the dignity and give the best performance in that moment, for that scene. You're right. I mean, because people is going to remember it. I mean, wow. And I couldn't believe it. I mean, everybody's been like placing bets online because the way the trailer came out,
Yeah.
you couldn't tell, right? And we're trying to figure out whose shoes it is, whose foot is that, and looking at shoes and trying to find a picture of Tien's feet. There was none, right? So a lot of people didn't think it was her because they couldn't match the shoes up. But it started this whole like scavenger hunt to find out who it was. But the one scene that I think gave it away is when Boyd was carrying a body, right? It had to be somebody he could physically lift up. And that's why I said it has to be her, fortunately. And we saw it. And it was wow. It did not disappoint on the shock value. I mean the thriller value and just the overall perception of Boyd having to be there, And that's what I wanted to ask, I feel like they're trying to break Boyd by getting to Kenny, right? And they're
Mhm.
taking away things that Kenny has to hurt Boyd. So they're taking away Kenny's dad, and then they're taking away Tien, and how do you feel about, I guess, how does Tien feel about the relationship between Kenny and Boyd?
Um, I think Tin Chan trusts Boy, and I think Tin Chan trusts Kenny to live up to what she expects him to be. I think, a lot of the memories, a lot of the things that Tin Chan built for Kenny, it's hoping that he would do the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
She encourages him to be a good sheriff, right? In one scene, she said to Kenny, "Go do your job. Go ring the bell," when Boy was away, and go be a good sheriff. So I think she wants him to have that high standard of what doing the right thing is. So I think it's doing that scene was heartbreaking. It truly was, and yeah, I think doing the last scene that we had, a lot of people on set actually cried.
Yes, I can see it. Yeah, I can
So
believe it.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, losing one of the beloved cast members that we've been following and then that they've been working with, for so long. I'm sure it was emotional. I'm sure, but your character might be gone from the show, but will live in our hearts forever.
Oh, thank you, thank you. I hope it stays forever. Yeah.
Yeah, this is definitely turning out to be one of the best shows I've seen in a while, and I think the casting is great. I think the storylines and the acting is great as well. And I always tell the people that I talk to from the show, always say thank you for your contributions and what you bring to the screen, because TV was getting kind of dull for a while, and then this show came back up, and it sparked this whole Frumly community online. So I'm happy to tune in and watch you guys every week, and follow the stories. And the last question I want to ask is, there was a lot of theories and rumors that after, that Abby was right, pretty much Boyd's wife, that when people pass on From, they come back to the world. So do you think that Tien has went back to the real world and will some maybe make a appearance later? Or what do you think is going to happen now?
Um, that's yet to be seen. But I think that's a really good theory. That's a hopeful theory that there's life after death. You know, I mean,
And
in
Fromville,
any
yeah.
situation, yeah, in any
Mhm.
situation, that gives you the hope. So, but we'll, you know, that's yet to be seen. But, you know, to your point, Movie Guru, thank you for your support and thank you for all the viewers for their support and their love and you know journeying with us because um it's this is my first TV show
Oh
and
no,
you
I didn't know that. Whoa.
so this you guys have made this journey a whole package for me and I really do feel the love and the encouragement that you guys have given us and the community the family it's you know it's out of my mind you know I didn't expect all this and this just making the my experience so much um better and real and you know it's actually fuel me part of the reason is to fuel me that I want to do better I
Yeah.
want to deliver a more realistic performance for
Mhm.
viewers and yeah so I thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Well, it's been great talking to you, and we're all hoping to see Tien make it through on the other side, and we're going to be follow. We're going to be the strength and the encouragement that Kenny needs to keep going in Tien's absence. And this has been a pleasure talking to you. So thank you very much, and
Thank
I
you.
will see you on in our hearts, and we'll see you hopefully again on From.
Thank you for having me.
We did it.
Man, so was that heartfelt or what? Was that heartfelt or what? I mean, I thought it was a good interview. I was really happy I was able to talk to Elizabeth Moy, especially with this episode coming out. And she really has a great story. Like she said, this was her first show, first role, pretty much, and had no idea that it was going to turn into this. And it really just turned into this memorable experience that she was able to be a part of, probably one of the greatest TV shows of all time. And it's just going to grow and get a bigger budget, more twists, and it is sad that her character is gone. But if you guys watched it and you heard what I said on the on the last question was Abby's um what did you say? Somebody said I didn't realize for your hope that's not what last year end of her. Yeah. Well, that's what I was getting into now. I don't think it's going to be the last that we'll see of her because remember about Abby when Abby said this was a dream. When people die, they wake up, and so we know that Tien Chen is no longer there in Fromville. But could it be that she is awake in the real world, and if they get out, maybe she'll be there waiting for Kenny, right? Like that would be amazing if something like that happened, especially from the devastation that we all just went through, losing her, and then we get her, or let's say a glimpse of her, or something like that, just something like that, So there's still hope for her character, But yeah, it was a great quick interview that we did, and just getting into the details of her death scene. And so you guys can go check that out. It is on my YouTube page. It is live. I decided to go back and um, wait until the actual premiere was, but it's here on my YouTube page. You can go. It's pretty much at the top, along with my recap video for episode 1. So, with that being said, let's get into tonight's main thing, which was a trivia. which was the trivia. Are you ready? Are you ready? So look, let's get some of those likes up. Let's get some of those. Make sure you guys are commenting. Let me know what you guys liked about tonight's episode. Let me know what you guys liked about pretty much everything that was going on tonight's episode. All right. So if you guys were not here last week, this is how the trivia pretty much went. We got categories. So these are the categories. And so this is kind of like a participation, right? And so there's 6 categories. So you guys can choose season 1, 4, 2, 4, 6, 8, and 1,000. You can choose creatures. You can choose Boyd. You can choose episode 1. You can choose talismans, questions. You can choose who done it. Now I've been trying to keep the categories the same, right? But you guys can pretty much play along. So I'm gonna give you guys a second to look at this while I get this stuff ready. All right, so look, we need some participation. So if you guys are there in the chat, let me know which one you guys want to start off first. Anybody in the chat, pick a category. Pick a category, any category. Okay, so Mr. Smith 104, he chose who done it. So we'll just start who done it for 200. So the first question is who killed Sarah's brother? So Mr. and Miss Smith 104 chose a category who done it. So if anybody knows the question it is, putting it in the chat. And that is correct. Sarah killed Sarah's brother. I mean, when you think about it, it is kind of crazy. I mean, I looked at that whole situation like a throw mama from the train situation, right? Because first of all, Sarah was tripping, and she was trying to kill Ethan, and she ended up killing her brother, but her brother was trying to stop her. But there was a lot of talk about was that even her real brother? Like, we don't even know, right? I mean, she said that was her brother, but we have no hard facts on whether or not that was her real brother. We know that they said Nathan went to go pick her up from Hope, Pennsylvania, and they were driving to, I believe, Boston. And so one of my new theories about the show is that they all had a lot of problems before they came into Fromville. That's no secret. And I believe some people came there with some things. Like I believe what's going on with Fatima is what she had before she even came there. And for the fact that when you watch the first episode, when the Matthews family is pulling into town, you see Sarah watching the RV because she said the voices told her, right? So we know that there was all these things going on before they even got there. And so, I believe that somebody might have manipulated her to do that in exchange for killing a certain person. Now, rest in peace, Tien Chen. But at one point, I had a theory that Tien Chen kind of put her husband in the clinic and then manipulated Sarah to leave the door open to get him killed, and then to also kill Ethan. But yeah, so that's it. All right, so look, pick another category. So Sarah said, "Why didn't Victor tell Jim to use the bottle tree?" I don't know if Victor even really used the bottle tree except in like dire situations. I think there's rules that has to go on with the bottle tree, right? Because check it out like this. Only time we've seen Victor use the bottle tree is when he threw the rock in there and then the rock it like fell down behind him, right? So at that moment, if Victor went into the faraway tree or the whatever tree, he would have fell. He would have pretty much fell to his death, right? It would have died. And so I think Victor knows a lot more about the tree than lets on. Plus, I've seen pictures in his room where he's like trying to map all this out, like steps and the coordinates and times a day. Like he's trying to figure out how to use the tree. So I don't think he trusts the tree. So Victor telling Jim to, oh yeah, this is where Tabitha went to the bottle tree. I think Victor knows that you can't go through it like that, right? Like once you go through it, there's a while before you can go through it again. That's pretty much what I'm saying. So I think if anybody tries to go through the bottle tree to get to the lighthouse, it won't work. So the way they would have to get there was on foot, and there is a way to get to the bottle tree on foot. Uh, so that's why. But I believe that somebody's going to try it and somebody's going to end up dying, and then they're never going to use that bottle tree again, the tree again, because they don't really know where they're going. Right? We saw Boyd enter a tree and he ended up in a well. So at that point, I think that nobody's co-signing the use of the faraway trees. After that, we saw Julie use a tree and she ended up in the root cellar, is what I call it. But that was a reach, right? That was a happenstance. So here we go, y'all. So we did one category, 200. Who done it? Uh, Pick another category. Pick another category, y'all. Yeah, if you guys watching, if any guys want to be a contestant, just email me. I got my email open right now, and I'll send you an invite, and you guys can join. Okay, so Mike said Boyd. All right. So let's see. We'll start Boyd for 200. So where was Boyd coming from before being lost in Fromville? Where was Boyd coming from before being lost in Fromville? Go ahead. If you guys know the answer to this question, just put it in the chat. Where was Boyd coming from before being lost in Fromville? And you like how I put lost? he was on an island and lost. No. Okay, Mike said Pittsburgh. Oh, okay, Mr. Smith said Virginia, West Virginia. Yeah, I think both Mike L and Mr. Smith are close. It was St. Petersburg, Virginia. It was Virginia. It was St. Petersburg, Virginia. All right, so we didn't get that one, but good guess, y'all. Good guess. All right, so go ahead. Let's pick another category. What y'all got here? I was not close. Oh, creatures. Okay. Sorry about that. I didn't see it. Creatures. Okay, creatures for 200. Now 200 should be an easier question, right? So here we go. So what creature said you picked a bad spot? What creature said you picked a bad spot? Cowboy. No, we know what the cowboy said. The cowboy said, "You said this wouldn't break you. You said Man, I feel like there's gonna be costumes for the cowboy, and there's gonna be a ton of monologues. You said this wouldn't break you, right? Like that's turning into a classic line. Okay, we got some answers here. Smiley, Smiley. That is correct. That is correct. That is correct. It was Smiley Monster. It is Smiley Monster. It is Smiley Monster. That is correct. I also want to point out, I got a chance to interview Jamie McGuire. So if you guys check out my YouTube page, my interview's up there. It is right now the most trending interview, the most popular video on my page. A lot of people are showing out and showing support for Jamie McGuire, the actor who played Smiley. He really brought a lot of charm and charisma to the first season. What I thought was great about his character was that he started as an extra, right? He was a extra, and he just took the instructions. He said he just took the instructions from what they told him, got on camera, and I mean, they just liked him. And then they pretty much, once the first season was over, they pretty much started representing him as an actor and all this stuff. And I think they put him on payroll. Like it was just pretty much a dream come true of what you expect to be as an extra on a set, And now, I'm sure he's got agents. I'm sure they're looking at to do movies. I mean, I know they're doing the Smile too. I mean, that'd be great if he popped up in Smile too some way, right? I mean, I think that's great for him. So best of luck, Jamie. All right, pick another category, y'all. Go ahead, pick, or I could just start going down the line. So we did Who Done It, we did Boyd. So let's do episode 1. I'm surprised nobody picked that one. In what building did Tabitha wake up in? Oh, somebody said creatures again. All right, I'll go to that next. So in what building did Tabitha wake up in? St. Anthony's Hospital. That's correct. The hospital. She did. Tabitha fell out a window and woke up in a hospital. I mean, how crazy was that? With no recollection of how she got there, and of course, no information on her and nothing. All right, so let's just go down. Let's just. Oh, somebody said creatures. Okay, so let's go to creatures for 200. We already did 200. Sorry, let's creatures for 400. All right, so which creature was seen sleep in the cave? So 400 level question, probably a little bit more harder. Which creature was seen sleep in the cave? What creature was seen sleep or asleep, I should say, in the cave? Somebody said the waitress. Let's see. Is it the waitress? And it is the waitress. That's correct. It is the waitress. Now, they're right. There was a couple of creatures that we saw, but I believe the first one we saw, well, actually, it was the waitress. Yeah, that was the first one we saw. We also did see, I guess, the varsity girl with the J on her sweater, and we saw the mechanic creature too. So any of those answers would have been acceptable, but the waitress is acceptable. So good job, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. You guys are killing it tonight. All right, look, let's just keep going down the line. So season 1 for 200. So, where was the Matthews family going before they got trapped in Fromville? Where was the Matthews family going before they got trapped in Fromville? Does anybody know? Where was the Matthews family going before they got trapped in Fromville? Anybody know the answer? Yosemite. Final answer? Anybody else? Anybody else? The correct answer is close. It does start with a Y, but it was Yellowstone. The Matthews family was on their way to Yellowstone. That is correct. Yellowstone. So Yosemite is another national park. There's a couple. There's Zion National Park. There's a couple up there in that like, you know, Arizona, Utah, Idaho, Montana range. And so they were going to Yellowstone. So did we click on the talisman? Okay, talisman for 200. How many talismans are there? Okay, so we got 8. Spud Family Jewels says 8. Is that your final answer? Black Hand Jack says 12. Is that the final answer? And yes, you're correct. 12 is correct. There are 12 talismans. Now, this picture is kind of cut off, but there's 3 rows of 4. Each talisman is different, made from a different rock. And according to the behind the scenes footage from John Griffin and Jack Bender, said that each talisman will have a specific purpose. We still don't know what that purpose is, but he did say that each talisman will have a specific purpose. That's what he said. That is what he said. Okay, so we did all the 200. So season 1 for 400. So what does Father Khatri say he wishes Boyd had the luxury of, but doesn't? What does Father Khatri say he wishes Boyd had the luxury of, but doesn't? So Boyd, you know, Father Khatri was killed. I say he was assassinated. Father Khatri was assassinated, right? And when a lot of people were dying, he said this to Boyd because he said the town needs you. And he said, I wish that you had the luxury of this, but you don't. Okay, Black Hand Jack says time to grieve. Okay. We'll accept it. Grieve or grief, right? It doesn't have the luxury of grief. Yes, that is correct. That is correct. Powerful scene by those two guys. And we got a chance to see Father Khatri make a return tonight. In episode 1, he popped up for just a quick second and talked to Boyd. and I'm sure we're going to see more of him this season. And I think there was a key scene also when Boyd asked Father Kotri, he knows. Boyd said he knew what his wife was when he saw her in the basement of the tower or whatever. But he said he asked Father Kotri, "What are you?" And Father Kotri said, "I wish I could tell you." Right. So I think that was a key. I think they're having a key moments at figuring out that these things are not, well, of course they're not real, but getting closer to finding, the answers. So creatures. So we did that one. So creatures. So let's go to Boyd for 400. So what did Boyd say to Randall outside of the barn in season 3, episode 1? So if you guys watched the episode tonight, of course you did. What did Boyd say to Randall outside of the barn in season 3, episode 1? Anybody want to guess? Hello, Vanessa. Just in time. We're on the 400 level questions, and this is we're still in the first round. How did you like tonight's episode? Well, I know you watched it already. I know you watched it pretty much last night at midnight. But man, they had a live tweet going on Twitter. All the cast was there. John Griffin was tweeting, even though he didn't, give any clues away. But yeah, I think definitely was a great interview. My interview with Tien Chen is live, so I think that was great. We played a little bit of that, and she got a chance to talk about when she found out that her character was going to die on the show, and how she dealt with it, and how the cast supported her and stuff like that. So I might play that at the end again. It was great. I mean, people are saying that the anticipation around this has been some of the best that they've ever seen, and this is turning into pretty much the best, one of the best TV shows in a while. I'm working on some deep theories. I got a couple of new contacts and some people that I might reach out to do some live streams with. Feel like the from space is so crowded right now. So many people doing live streams. There's so many people giving the crazy theories. It's kind of diluting it a little bit. So I'm trying to bring something fresh, to the space. That's why you see me kind of doing like different stuff, doing lives, doing trying to just do interviews and just trying to keep it the focus on the show. You understand? So thank you guys for participating. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for participating in this game. I really appreciate it. All right, so this must be a tough one, and it got past me the first time. And so Boyd said to Randall, "Give up the GOAT, or we can do this right here, right now." Right? I mean, I thought that was a great line for him, especially knowing he was dead serious. Give up the GOAT, or we can do it right here and right now. And Ellis in the background just says, "Just give up the GOAT, man." Just give up the GOAT, man. Hilarious. All right, so let's see. Back to panel. All right, so episode 1 for 400. In what town and state did the doctor say Tabitha was in when she woke up? So this was a topic of great discussion of where Tabitha was going to be when she woke up, and this is just to see if anybody was paying attention. Where was Tabitha when she woke up? Now, we already covered that she was in the hospital. That was one of the other questions. But in what town and state? So it's a 2-part question here. What town and state did the doctor say Tabitha was when she woke up? There we go. Camden We got Camden, Maine. Yes, that is correct. Camden, Maine, which was identified by the White Tower, right in the picture. Now, uh, now we know that. Now we know that there was actually no hospital. There was no 15 floor hospital in Camden, Maine. When we were doing our Googles and our Google Earths. And so but that tower was there, and so we were able to identify that by the tower. So that was cool. All right. So where were we at? We did episode 1. So we did Talisman. So who did Talisman for 400? Who did Boyd give a talisman to and tell go live in the forest? Who did Boyd give a talisman to and tell to go live in the forest? Who did Boyd give a talisman to and tell drunk guy? Yeah, that what survey says we'll accept that. Yeah, it was Frank. Yep, it was drunk guy Frank. Huh? So did we do? I think we did this. All right. Who killed Mr. Lou, Kenny's dad? Who killed Mr. Lou, Kenny's dad? Oh yeah, I like that. Sarah slash monsters, exactly. And so I'm trying to paint a picture here because Sarah is the biggest serial killer in the town, right? She directly responsible for the most deaths out of everybody, right? So I keep trying to remind everybody that hey, you guys are hanging out with a mass murderer. All right, season 1. So what was the name of the motel next to the pool in season 1? Exactly. Sarah is the Black Widow. I told you, Sarah is the literal representation of the spider. Uh oh. Stardust. Final answer. Anybody else want to guess? Now this is a tough one because everybody always talks about how multiple signs just magically disappeared, right? And so there was a sign up with a name at by the motel, which is by the pool, and it disappeared by like halfway through season 1. It wasn't even like season 2 it was gone. It was like halfway through season 1. It was also that fly away Hawaiian tropical sign that was gone as well. Like nobody knows why they just disappeared. All right, so I'll help you guys out a little bit on this one. Star Magic. Star Magic was the name of the hotel next to the pool, right? Star Magic. Now, I can never forget that because I spent hours on top of hours trying to freaking Google search and find out what was Star Magic, if it was a book, if it meant something. And so I could never forget that the motel's name was Star Magic. And then as soon as I started getting close to what it could be, it vanished. They took it away. And I was just heartbroken after spending probably 1,000 hours researching Star Magic. So that was another thing that let me know don't get too deep into some of these details because they're not even that serious about some of them. Okay, that's the one we just did. Sorry. All right. So let's see. Go across creatures for 600. What creature pretended to light the guy in the bathroom? And I'm trying to balance some of these questions with some ones that are obvious and some that might be a little bit difficult. But we'll see. What creature pretended to light the guy in the bathroom? Oh, here we go. Everybody got that one. Jasmine. Jasmine. And yes, the correct answer is Jasmine. And now, a little fact about Jasmine. Jasmine is the only creature with a name. And of course, she didn't die. Like Smiley pretty much died, right? So Jasmine did not die. And she's the only creature with a name. And we kind of figured she would make a return, especially in something big like season 3. But I guess I don't know why she hasn't been back yet. All right, so keep it going. We're at 600. So who did Tabitha call on the phone today? So in tonight's episode, season 1, who did Tabitha call on the phone? That is correct. She called her mom, and I don't think anybody saw that coming. I mean, I don't think anybody. Of course, nobody knew that she was going to make a phone call, but I guess we should have thought once we seen her wake up in the hospital, we should have known that she was going to call her next of kin, right? And which would have been her mom, but she just had to do it in a certain way. She did it so that way she didn't. She did it so that way she didn't draw, I guess, attention to the police and sound crazy and pretty much make it seem like she killed her family. So she decided to escape, which was equally suspicious, and decided to borrow somebody's phone, which was random, and call her mom. I'm sure her mom was calling that girl's phone back, like, "Yo, where are you at? That's my daughter. She's been missing for like 2 years. I need to call the police." I'm sure they got a huge investigation uh, about that now since she called her mom, and I think a lot of people aren't even really talking about that. All right, well, okay, let's see. So pretty much, who the next question is, who has the talisman painted on their jeans? We got a little bit of photo help here. Who has the talisman painted on his jeans? That's right, Ellis. Ellis has the talisman painted on his jeans, and I really want to believe that the stones have power. I do, but after 3 seasons, I'm not convinced that the stones have power. I'm not convinced at all. And the reason why I'm not the reason why I'm not convinced that the stones have power is because we've seen the stones not work, right? I mean, what's the difference between the talisman being up on the wall and on the floor? Nothing, really nothing when you think about it. And just like tonight, I seen people tweeting that why the talisman didn't work in the barn, because Boyd obviously brought a talisman in the barn, and he tried to do his due diligence to make sure they were all safe, and they still weren't. Now I would have thought that if the talisman keeps them out, and if they got in, the talisman would keep them in, locked in somewhere. But I'm guessing that the barn had an extra door that they could just walk in and out of. And so, but I would think that it would create a seal, right? Let's say it is magic. It would create a seal around the building on the inside. I don't know if you guys ever seen Demon Knight, but it was where they would put a seal by the door, and this little light would flash around the door, and then even if the door was open, they couldn't go in. And I really feel like that's what we want the talisman to do. But then the bigger question is the talisman the rock itself special, or is it the symbol? Because then that symbol could be transferred to other things, right? And that was also one of the questions that Jim was asking on the wall of the house. Could they make more of the talismans, or could they make more of those to try to protect them in a better ways? You know? So that was a lot one. All right, so let's see who done it. Who done it for 600? I think we did that one already. So back to the panel. So now we're on 800. So I'll just start season 1, 800. So who was watching the Matthews family as their RV pulled into town? Who was watching the Matthews family as their RV pulled into town? Sarah. Look, Sarah was the villain in season 1. Let's talk about it. right? Sarah was the absolute villain in season 1. But yes, it was definitely Sarah. Oh, we got some Boyd. Boyd wasn't watching the RV, but he was at the funeral, and Kenny was at the funeral next to him. But yeah, it was Sarah. Sarah was given the evil eye as the RV pulled into town. So let's see. Creatures for 800. Which creature ran after Julie and Ethan in the season 3 trailer? Which creature ran after Julie and Ethan in season 3 trailer? So this is after everybody got upset, right? Because why was Ethan outside, right? Why would Ethan open the door? Ethan opened the door and then it's grandma. That's right. Hey, thank you, West 108. Yeah, that from music from the background is definitely fire. You know, it really lets you know the mood. It really puts you in a from mood. And so I definitely like to keep it going. That's right, the Granny Monster. Or I believe she's listed as old lady creature, maybe. Okay, so Boyd. So what did Boyd find in the forest that he thinks will help? What did Boyd? Okay, so the talisman. He did find the talisman in the forest, and the talisman did help. But this, he found this in the forest, and he thinks this will help. It was the torch. And this sort of kind of gave the picture I thought the picture might kind of give it away. Yeah, because there was a lot of things in the forest, right? I mean, he found the goat, technically. He found the talismans. What else did he find? But it was the torch. And that was right before the guy shot him. And he was like, "It was you. My sister died because of you." And he was like, "Hey, I found this in the forest. I think it'll help." And he just blanked. He didn't care at that point. He didn't care what was going on. Man. Yeah, when was so here's next question. Episode 1, season 3. What was Ethan doing when Jim came into the house to tell him he was leaving for the forest? Oh, you already got that one. Puzzle. Everybody got that one. Puzzle. Now here's an Easter egg. So I don't know how well you guys zoomed in on it, but what was the puzzle he was doing? What was the location of the puzzle he was doing? This is how you guys become a guru. What was what was the location of the puzzle? It said it right on the front of the box. Maine, that's right. Yeah, it was. It was, I believe it was Camden, Maine. Yeah. I mean, I love little Easter eggs like that. Like they really, really have made this show really intricate and have a lot of details and everything, right? And that just make it just so much more connection. It's like a master class on how to write a series. All right, let's see. So that was episode 1. All right. Okay. So where did Boyd find the talisman? So we said, not the woods is a specific place. So where, right? So we know it was the forest that he technically got it from, but where did Boyd find the talismans? Hut. That is correct. You guys might not be able to see that, but yeah, he found it in the hut. Okay. Who killed Abby? Yeah, grass hut. It was. I think it's a Viking hut. right? I think it's a Viking hut. I think it was like a Viking stone house. From what I was trying to figure out, just by associating the runes with the Celtic pagan, you know, Viking type of time. And when they did cross the Atlantic and they landed in Vinland, which they considered to be pretty much the main area, and they lived in these small like grass stone huts. So I was trying to put that together. Okay, so the answer, we got a couple answers here. Boyd, right? Yeah, Boyd. So unfortunately, Boyd killed Abby, and it was a sad decision he had to make because Abby was shooting everybody in the town, and she turned the gun towards Ellis, and he didn't want to take any chances with Ellis, and so he shot Abby. Now, I believe that this is how good the show is. That's going to come full circle because we don't know what's going on with Fatima. She's having this baby. Something's obviously going on with her, and I believe it's going to get to a point where she's going to be in her life is going to be in danger, and Ellis is going to have to make a decision to either save Fatima or save the baby, which is the same situation his father was in. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. Okay. So here we go. Pretty much final round, y'all. Season one. What does the poem on the board in the diner say? Now, these are the big money questions. These are the not easy questions. Mm. Anybody want to guess? What does the poem on the board in the diner say? Raven. You mean when you say Raven, do you mean like Edgar Allan Poe? Okay, you mean Edgar Allan Poe. Okay, final answer. Anybody else want to guess? Uh okay, final answer. Oh, at the last minute, Spud's Family Jewels came through. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so the poem on the board in the diner, you guys can kind of see it, but it's a long poem. But the second, I don't remember what the first one line says, but the second one says pretty much says, "Forever is composed of nows," right? And it is a breakdown of the poem by Emily Dickinson, right? And pretty much the entire poem says, "Each moment in the past was at one time present when it occurred. Each moment in the future will be present when it occurs. Therefore, every moment that has ever and that ever will exist in time was, is, or will be a present moment, a now. So forever, or the infinite of composed of nows, because each present is now." And so, I mean, it's a deep poem, and kind of makes you think of their situation because they all came from some place, they all were doing some things, but regardless of whatever they did or where they were from, they're there now, and technically they'll be there forever. So I mean, it kind of makes sense, but it's kind of morbid too. It kind of makes you think that they're never going to get out of there, and I don't know if that's how they kind of wrote it, but we'll have to see. Okay, creatures for 1,000. So, what creature killed a cow in season 3? That's right. The milkman. The milkman with came through the last minute and killed the cow. All right. So look, a couple more categories. So here's a tough one, right? In the category of Boyd. Who threw down the rope? Who threw down Boyd the rope in the well? Now this is a tough one. This is a thousand round questions. Hey, that's correct. Spud Family Jewels. That's right. Nobody knows. We don't know. We don't know. We do not know who threw down the rope in the well. And I'm gonna keep asking this question. And we need everybody to keep asking this question until we get an answer from the cast. And I think if I do any more interviews this season, I'm going to ask every person who threw down Boyd the rope in the well, because it is the biggest mystery on the show. I mean, I could definitely tell you guys what I think. I think that Boyd was never in a well and he never climbed out of one. But according to the perspective of of us, the audience watching, he was in a well, but he wasn't. In reality, right? There's no Martin. Martin's not a real person. He's not in a room next to Boyd, right? He's not in a house. He's nowhere to be found in Fromville, so he doesn't exist. So that means that the rope didn't exist. The well doesn't exist. Now, it may have at one time, but where he went at that point, it doesn't. I believe he was kind of in some trance. He was kind of just standing in those ruins, going through all that stuff. I don't think he ever was in the well, so that's why they don't really talk about who threw the rope down. Then I did, but at the time when I first watched it, I had a theory that um, Sarah went through the tree behind him, right? And instead of Boyd being at the bottom, Sarah was at the top, and she just threw the rope down and then left the whatever cellar or basement that was, or went back into, let's say, if there was a tree in that room, went back into the tree and went someplace else. Because remember, she was missing for a while. And also in my character breakdown for Sarah, I talked about the Sarah Martin connection. So they're both from the same place, right? And I think that there might be the same person, right? Put it like that. Sarah and Martin is the same person. We all know that there has to be people in the town that are not who they appear to be, and some people have to be lying. And I think in that situation, Sarah being the only one there, she could have been Martin. So, but that's a deep theory. All right, let's keep pushing. So episode 1, who died? This is pretty much, not a real mystery, but we know who died in episode 1. Yeah, and we were very sad to see Tien Chen go, but it was her time, right? She was just a pawn in a game that was played by these vicious creatures, and I believe that even though they killed her in front of Boyd, they weren't really doing it because they knew that him watching that wasn't going to break Boyd, because they knew that Boyd had watched people die before, right? We found that out in Brian Kelly. Oh, that's right. Episode 1. See, look, could be a trick question. Guys, drunk guy's wife and daughter in episode 1. That's true. Her name was Megan. But I think that Boyd has seen people die before. That's what the whole Brian Kelly thing was about, where the people that came on the bus, the guy's name was Brian, the girl's name was Kelly, which was similarly the same as the guy in Boyd's platoon. And Boyd ended up watching him die. That's why they made them watch her die. But I think what the real plan that the creatures had was twofold, right? One was to get to Kenny, and then that'll break Boyd, right? And then the other one was to get Ethan. Like, I think they're still trying to get Ethan. Like, that was a direct assassination on Ethan. Like, was posted outside his door, right, waiting for him to just crack it. And as soon as he did, jumped in there. So I think they're still trying to get Ethan. If they really did mean kill the boy, and if they really did mean Ethan, and they're still trying to get him, then they need to definitely work on protecting Ethan, because Ethan is being raised as a latchkey kid at this point. All right, that's right, Lauren and Megan Pratt. All right, here we go. So, talisman for 1,000. What do the symbols on the talisman mean? What do the symbols on the talisman mean? No one knows. Yes, no one knows for sure. But I mean, I think they're pretty. I think they're pretty as far as determining the language that they are, which we found out to be a Viking language, right? Elder Fufnart, right, or however you pronounce it, right? There are symbols of night and day. There are looks like people. We see the ash trees, which mean life, and so I mean we know that there is some meaning behind the symbols, and then even goes into deeper to like Odin, the F being the symbol for Odin. So there's a lot of stuff that could be, um, you know, decoded on from the symbols, but we just don't know what it means together. So yes, we don't know. We don't know. But I want to keep asking the question. I want to keep having the conversation until we find out. All right. So last question on who done it. This is a tough one. Who was responsible for the death of Thomas? Christine Jelly Bean said, I believe you meant Jim." Mr. and Mrs. Smith said his parents, Tabitha and Jim. Oh, see, I like that because you're right. According to talking to it, Tabitha blames Jim, but in reality, they're both responsible for Thomas. And if something happened to Thomas, they both would be responsible, right? And if Tabitha didn't think that Jim was capable to take care of Thomas alone, then she shouldn't have left him alone with him, right? But that's neither here nor there. Now, what they said happened was Thomas rolled off the changing table when Jim went to go answer the phone, right? And so that's why I believe that when the phone rung in the trailer, when he picked up, that's why I believe it's going to be Thomas. Because remember, they said in season 2 that each person has to face their fears and their worst nightmare. And that's something that has pretty much destroyed his life. He's walking around every day with it. And so what would be worse to break a person than put him face to face with the one thing that he can't make better, right? Which was Thomas. So that's just my theory. I have no clue if that is correct or not. But all right. So that's pretty much all the questions, y'all. I definitely enjoy doing this. I would like to definitely keep it going. Episode 2, I'll update the board here, and I will put up some more questions, and you guys will be able to, you guys will be able to come up here and participate again next week. So Christine Jellybean said the boy said hello to Julie. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I thought that the boy who was on the porch in season 1 when they were running to the colony house, he came out of nowhere and said, "Julie, don't you remember me?" But I've looked at that a couple of times since then, and I believe that it wasn't hit Thomas, right? Even though he's the figure of Thomas, I believe that was the boy of Julie's dreams, right? Remember, this place, Fromville, looks into everybody's mind. It knows everybody's name. It knows their deepest desires and fears. And I think they know that Julie really wants a boyfriend, right? And he manifested himself into the boy of her dreams. because remember later when Julie came at Fatima and the girl, like, can I get some of that? Like she wanted to be down with the get down, right? Like she was looking like a horny kid in season one. And so I believe like that's why she was so shocked, because she was like, damn, it's the boy of my dreams, but I believe us being adults watching the show was like, who's that, her dead brother? Like, we weren't even thinking about, from the perspective of a horny teen, but that was the boy of her dreams. But I do use him as the representation of Thomas, because we don't have anything. But they mentioned Thomas again on episode 1 tonight, right? The preacher was talking to Tabitha and brought up Thomas, and so we just keep hearing these references about Thomas. We keep hearing these references about Thomas, and so that's why it's like it's going to come up. It has to come up. It has to come up. So one more thing before we all part ways. I would like to go back to my YouTube. I'd like to replay the episode with Tien Chen. Is out now. So if you guys haven't got a chance to hear what she said about the final episode, her final episode, we can watch it right here. The question I want to ask is, what did you think when you read or heard about what was going on with Tien in episode 1?
You said this place couldn't break you. That's what you said. Let's see. You're so strong. You're so strong. Just no. I know.
So many things. Yeah, I got the call in advance of shooting, right? So I think I had about 6 weeks notice.
Oh, okay.
SAG was still on strike, so we weren't filming. The writers' strike is already done by that time. So the 3Js, Jack, John, the writer, Jack Bender, Jeff Pinkner, got me on the phone and told me the news. It was a hard news to receive, but they did such a way that I felt their love, I felt their compassion, I felt their encouragement, and they only doing this because they think it's impactful, right? They wouldn't do this.
This is turning into one of the biggest biggest moments in TV. I mean, people are gonna be talking about this for a long time, like just the way your character has been built up, right? And then we've all gravitated to it, then being taken away from us, right? I mean, like it is gonna be a top, 10 TV moment of all times, right? Remember the loss of Tien Chen? I mean, especially because we look at Kenny, right? He's lost his dad, and then now his mom, and so now it's just like, whoa, that's a tough loss.
So it's and then in order to play those scenes, it's almost like I have to go through all those scenarios. What you talked about, because Tien Chen is so real to me now, right? Tien Chen is a real person, and Kenny is her real son, and Jade is her real second son, and Sarah, all those relationships, all the people in town, people that go through her diners, she makes a point of talking to them and getting to know them, right? Even though she doesn't speak the language, but she knows a lot about what's going on, right? And so it's almost like it wasn't that difficult to play that, because those are real, and the death, it's so real, right? So it's after I took the news, once I accepted it, I welcomed it as a challenge. Because part of my thought process was, like I was thinking of which actor would play the death scene,
Mhm.
and which actor's scenes, dying scene is believable. It's,
Yeah.
heartbreaking, all that stuff, right? So I've gone through that, and I just thought, you know what? I welcome this. This is going to be my challenge because this is my final scene. I have to
Mhm.
die with 100%.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, it's like,
Mhm.
die with the dignity and give the best performance in that moment, for that scene. You're right. I mean, because people is gonna remember it. I mean, wow. And I couldn't believe it. I mean, everybody's been like placing bets online because the way the trailer came out,
Yeah.
you couldn't tell, right? And we're trying to figure out whose shoes it is, whose foot is that, and looking at shoes and trying to find a picture of Tien's feet. There was none, right? So a lot of people didn't think it was her because they couldn't match the shoes up. But it started this whole like scavenger hunt to find out who it was. But the one scene that I think gave it away is when Boyd was carrying the body, right? It had to be somebody he could physically lift up. And that's why I'd say it has to be her, unfortunately. And we saw it. And it was wow. It did not disappoint on the shock value. I mean the thriller value and just the overall perception of Boyd having to be there, And that's why I wanted to ask, you know, I feel like they're trying to break Boyd by getting to Kenny, right? And they're
Mhm.
taking away things that Kenny has to hurt Boyd. So they're taking away Kenny's dad, and then they're taking away Tien, and how do you feel about, I guess, how does Tien feel about the relationship between Kenny and Boyd?
Um, I think Tin Chan trusts Boy, and I think Tin Chan um, trusts Kenny to live up to what she expects him to be. I think, a lot of the memories, a lot of the things that Tin Chan built for Kenny, it's hoping that he would do the right thing.
Mhm.
She encourages him to be a good sheriff, right? In one scene, she said to Kenny, "Go do your job. Go ring the bell," when Boy was away, and go be a good sheriff. So I think she wants him to to have that high standard of what doing the right thing is. So I think, it's doing that scene was heartbreaking. It truly was. And yeah, I think doing the last scene that we had, a lot of people on set actually cried.
Yes, I can see it. Yeah, I can
So
believe it.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, losing one of the beloved cast members that we've been following and that they've been working with, for so long. I'm sure it was emotional. I'm sure, but your character might be gone from the show, but will live in our hearts forever.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I hope it stays forever. Yeah.
Yeah, this is definitely turning out to be one of the best shows I've seen in a while. And I think the casting is great. I think the storylines and the acting is great as well. And I always tell, the people that I talk to from the show, always say, thank you for your contributions and what you bring to the screen. Because, TV was getting kind of dull for a while. And then this show came back up and it sparked this whole Frumly community online. So happy to tune in and watch you guys every week and follow the stories. And the last question I want to ask is, there was a lot of theories and rumors that after, that Abby was right, pretty much Boyd's wife, that when people pass on from, they come back to the world. So do you think that Tien has went back to the real world and will maybe make a appearance later? Or what do you think is going to happen now?
Um, That's yet to be seen. But I think that's a really good theory. That's a hopeful theory that there's life after death. I mean,
And
in
Fromville,
any
yeah.
situation, that gives you the hope. So, but we'll, that's yet to be seen. But, to your point, Movie Guru, thank you for your support, and thank you for all the viewers for their support and their love, and, journeying with us, because it's this is my first TV show. And
Oh no, I didn't know that. Whoa.
so you guys have made this journey a whole package for me. And I really do feel the love and the encouragement that you guys have given us, and the community, the family. It's it's out of my mind. I didn't expect all this. And this just making my experience so much better and real, and it's actually fuel me. Part of the reason is to fuel me that I want to do better. I want to deliver a more realistic performance for viewers. And so I thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, it's been great talking to you, and we're all hoping to see Tien make it through on the other side, and we're going to be the strength and the encouragement that Kenny needs to keep going in Tien's absence. And this has been a pleasure talking to you. So thank you very much, and we'll see you on in our hearts, and we'll see you hopefully again on From.
Thank you for having me.
Introducing the all-new GMC Acadia.
Yeah, so that was pretty much the most recent interview with Tien Chen, Elizabeth Moore, who plays Tien Chen, and she was just going over everything about her death scene and how she found out about it. I'm really happy that I had the opportunity to talk to her and bring that content to all the viewers here on YouTube. So listen, if you guys liked the stream, if you guys like the interviews, if you guys like my videos, please make sure you guys like and subscribe. Be doing another review next week. I just put my season 1, episode 1 deep dive review up on YouTube, so you guys can check that out. And of course, my interviews are always up there. And I'm definitely going to try to get some more interviews this season. So stay tuned. So I want to thank you guys for rocking with me here and playing along with the From Trivia. Like I said, I'll be back next week. So you guys take care, stay safe, and we'll see you next week on episode 2 of From.